The art of digital blending. I thought I'd change what I'd actually scheduled to post up today and take it back to basics and show you the techniques that I use for my composite work in Luminar 4. I've been doing composites for years now, for many years, and I noticed that looking at Luminar that the possibilities to do composites in Luminar was there as well. I originally started doing them in Photoshop, and I know that you can do them in Affinity and other programs as well, but I did want to push the Luminar software just to see if it could do, or if it could recreate images that I was happy with when doing them, and so far I've had no problems whatsoever. I've had to adjust some of the techniques, but that's only because I was used to photoshopping the techniques that I used in Photoshop. But there is a crossover as well, and Luminar isn't here to replace Photoshop. Photoshop's another package altogether. It's the same as Affinity's another package altogether, and multitudes of other editing and photo editing packages. Luminar stands alone, as these other packages do as well. So I thought I would push it just to see if it could create images that I was happy with and that I was proud of when creating them. So for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the techniques that I use to create the composites in Luminar. And I'll talk about the brushes, I'll talk about the techniques that I use. Please remember that I am working on a Mac, so a couple of the techniques, or one that I've heard when you use the shift key in the keyboard doesn't work in PC, and I don't know why, but I'll post up here just to let you see what system I am running on. This is the spec of my system here, and this is what I'm creating all composites on and editing my photography, and I'm primarily a landscape and portrait photographer, but my composite work is something that I love. If it's raining outside or I can't get out, I'll sit and learn new things within the software. Any software that I'm using, say whether it's Luminar, Photoshop or whatever, I'll sit and learn what it can do to see how I can use it to my advantage. So with this video, I'm going to show you some of the techniques I use, and I won't go in and edit an entire image here. I'll just show you techniques because the videos I've got planned over the next wee while will use these techniques, and it will show you how to get them. And for me, most of my images that I use in these examples come from Unsplash, and I'll put a link to Unsplash below. And as I always ask, if you use those images, please accredit the photographers that are putting these up freely available for you to use in any form at all. So please accredit them. That's just something that I would like if I was putting images up onto that type of site as well. I would like the accreditation from it as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through some of the images. I'm going to bring up some examples of images and tell you what I've done, if I can remember. And I'm also going to show you some of the techniques within Edit. Down below I have a download for you, and I'm going to talk you through that when we get to that point. But please go in and take this download, because I don't know if you noticed, because I was used to Photoshop for my editing and compositing. In Photoshop you can unlock the background layer. In Luminar currently you can't unlock the background layer that I know of. If you can, please someone tell me how to do it, but I can't find how to unlock it, and it's probably there and it's probably right in your face, but I've never found it yet so far. So what I've done below is I have put in 50% grey files for you. They're aspect ratio files, 16:9, 5:7, 8:10, a square. Please download these and you'll see how I use them, and they may be helpful to you as well. If you don't use them, fair enough, but it's just I'm making them available for you to use. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up on the screen some of the upcoming videos for you to practice your edit. Okay, this one for me was probably the quickest and simplest edit that I have done using Luminar, and it contains 3 image files. The image files, as you can see here, are the trees, the metal cabin and the balloon. And when these were placed in, I chose them specifically because of their colour palette. this metal cabin here, that was the colour of the sky. Yes, I have added a look over the top of it just to mute the colours slightly and pull out the saturation, but the trees as well, the top of them, it was a lighter colour, so the blend between these two was really quite easy. In here, the balloon was originally a PNG, and as you know, if you bring PNGs into Luminar, they come in with the white background. That was then masked out, and I took my time going round them. The videos that you see that I produce, you never see the final image. 9 times out of 10 I've created the image prior to making the video, so what you see is the techniques to get to the end, and then it probably takes me a wee bit longer to do them, but not too much longer, but I don't want to make the videos run on. I'll go on to the next image. This image here is coming up very soon. Again, images. 1 is the elephant, 2 is the girl with the grass and the horizon behind her, 3 is the sky, and 4 was the moon that I shot actually just over a week ago. And again, it's the masking with this that round everything here and all the way around the elephant, and then a slight blend in at the feet. The other thing I did as well was I copied up the elephant layer and I took down the structure slightly, which will defocus it slightly, and then I blended the bottom of the legs back in, the feet and the legs back in, just to give a sense of depth to this image. Next image is the waves. Again, 1 image, 2 images, 3, 4, and again that's just blends and masking to create this image. And as I say, I'll show you with some examples at the end of this. These are some of the upcoming videos if you want to follow along to try them. I've tried to vary the image styles so that you'll get different techniques where you're working with a sweeping surface or you're working with quite a linear surface, if you can cog around the edges of clothes quite linear. Next image, this one here was one, this took the longest. I only completed that at the weekend there. This one took the longest. This is quite an edit to do. Once the principles are there, it all falls into place, but it is quite a lot of masking for this one. Again, all the images from Unsplash, including this. The images in total there was 1, 2, and that there is actually the background of that, and 3. What I did after this though, just so that you don't think that this is entirely Luminar, the flares here I created in Photoshop, and that's just a brush in Photoshop. Can they be done in Luminar? Yes, they can, and I'll show that as well. Next image, one from a video quite a bit, 3-4 weeks back. It's called Movie Style Poster. This one here, the entire tutorial for that is in the video. I may actually change the name of that one from Movie Style Poster to Creative Compositing, but that was done the exact same way. There's a lot of blends in this one, and whether it's layer blends or masking, the kind of main bit of masking for this was around the flippers at the bottom, and you'll see why if you go back and check out the video. I'll put a link to it up here or wherever it is. I'll put a link to that video up there as well, and you can go in and check that one out. This was one of the upcoming videos, and there is in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the same one flipped over, so you can say 6 if you want. Different images in that, but it's 5 different images, and it's just the blending and everything, and you can see the sun flares added in both sides and a flare there as well. And again, everything with these add looks to these just to get the final effect that I'm after. This one here, I'm going to start this one and just show you certain techniques using this, because there is some fine details in here, and this will also help and let you see how the grey works as well. But each one of those other ones had the grey except for one of the images. That one was the last video that I put out, and hopefully you followed along the tutorial. I've actually seen a couple of people that have followed along the tutorial. What I want to add in though, it was mentioned, and I read in one of the forums, that these arrows and the slow sign, they couldn't find them. These I created in Photoshop afterwards. and that's why you can't find them. So just to save you time looking for them, I think it's a good thing to show everybody how to do these, and then just maybe a wee twist at the end to make it your own. But that image there was done in the last video. This one here, I also produce videos for the Skylum software YouTube channel. This one's coming up on that very, very soon. And this one. This was probably the quickest, second quickest and simplest image to do. And that one there will also be on the Skylum channel as well. Okay, what I'll do now is I'll jump in and I'll show you some of the techniques that I use. Right, now that we're in Luminar, I'm going to show you some of the techniques that I use. As you see here, I've got this in here and it's called red.jpg. It's actually grey. I changed something within this to show you this technique. And how I do it is, I'll go in and add a new image layer, and this is where the red.jpg came from. So I take that and I click open. And when that drops in, this fills the entire set aspect ratio. For this, for me just now, this is 16:9. Why I use the grey is if I do layer transform, I don't have to copy up the layer to get the layer to transform. I've got a backing medium. I've got a backing board there, and the 50% grey actually helps with the blending as well. But I've got that, and I don't have to create a layer, take it to the size I want, and then stamp it. So I'm going to take that back out to the size it is, and then I'm going to talk to you about the techniques that I use. Okay, for edit mask, when I use the brush and I go for paint, I am going to take this right up to softness of 100. And if I click here, you can see how the soft edge from here to here, how I can get a decent blend with that and how I can get a good blend with that. And the reason I use it is that the eyes allow the adaptation between two images with a nice soft blend in, and it lets some of the underlying colour, in this case the grey, come through until it reaches 100% red in the middle. The other one that I use is 50. I'm going to go to 50 just to let you see. So if I now go in here and click once there, you can see the difference in the feather at the edge. And with that difference, that is for slightly closer work if it's a harder edge, but you still want a subtle blend into the background. The other one is 0% softness, and this will give you a hard edge. So you can see the difference between them, and the more you get through the softness, depending on the edge that you're working to, even, I'll be honest, even if it is like a building, the edge of a building, where very rarely will I go down to 0. I've maybe go in 1, 2 or 3 because it helps the blend in these images better. Very rarely, I have been at 0, but very rarely I'll go to 0. The other thing I can do is to draw a straight line. I'm going to keep it here at 0 just to let you see the straight line. If I click once there and then I hold down shift, remembering I'm on a Mac, I can draw a straight line. I can go from there to there to there to there. So I can draw a straight line, and if I need to get around something really quickly or to take out the edge of a building, that's the technique I use. If you are on a PC, I'm unsure if you can do that, but you'd have to check with Skylum themselves to see if you can do that. But that's one of the other techniques I use. This time when I'm editing the mask, I am going to use a radial mask, and I'm just going to draw a circle. So I can do that and then move it around the screen. I'll place it in the centre for here. So you can see there, 100% grey, feathering out, and then we've got the blend around here. What I can also do is I can click invert, 100% red, feathering out into grey. I'm going to click done, and then I am going to clear my edit, and then I'm going to invert it so as you see the red again. The other is the gradient, and if I click and drag there, you can see the gradient coming in. And I can also tighten up, as you saw in the last video, we can also tighten up the distance between the gradients. So we can make it a shorter distance, we can expand it back out. The other thing that you can do is if I check Edit Mask and then I go into Edit Mask again and choose any one of these at all, I'll just go for the brush for the sake of this, and I'll take Erase. I can also edit within areas that I have already done, that I've already in this case put a gradient through if I want to get back in. So this is some of the techniques that I use, and I'll take the softness up of that and I'll follow it back through, and I'll just do there, so I can get a softer edge, like so. So this is some of the techniques that I use when I'm creating images. And hopefully with practice you'll see how to use these to best benefit your images. Okay, I'm going to delete this layer. As you can see by the histogram here, it's 50% grey. The reason I've created these, please feel free to download these and use them when you're compositing images together. It will save you time when you're doing it because you can't unlock this layer. And as I've said, if anyone knows how to unlock that, please let me know. But I'm finding working with these really, really useful and really quick. So I'm going to create an image now, and what you'll see is the image coming together, but I won't finish the image because I know this video is going to be quite long, but I'll show you the techniques I use to get to a certain point, and then I'll drop in the man that's in the image, and I'll show you some of the brush techniques and talk you through some of that. First thing we do, add new image layer, and I am going to add this. And that will drop in there, and then straight away I can go layer transform, and if I drag that down, straight away I can do that, and I still have my background layer. Now you see why I use the grey. I'm not compressing my image in any way at all. I'm not having to stamp the layer to compress it. So I'm going to go about there with this one. I'm going to click done. Next I'm going to bring in a new image layer, and I'm going to bring the same one in. I am then going to go into layer transform, and I'm going to use the flip here and then flip horizontally. Now I'm going to compress that one slightly. Now I've got these quite close together, and I'm trying not to, when I look at this, trying not to make it too similar. I'm going to click done with that. Then this, I am going to edit the mask using a brush, and I am going to use erase. Softness I'm going to take to 100% when I'm starting out, and I'm going to paint some of this away. And the reason I'm not showing you this entire image as well is because I'm going to show you, when I ran through it the first time, I found a couple of anomalies and that affect your image when you're doing this. So I thought it'd be best to show you what can go wrong and how to correct it while it's there. For this image, I am now going to go create new stamped layer. Right, now that we have the stamped layer, I can actually get rid of these two layers. So what I'm going to go is delete that one and then delete that layer, so that I now only have my red, which yours, if you use these, will read 16:9 landscape grey. And then I am going to use the stamped layer. And what I'm going to do, when I'm going to add a sky into this, because I've stamped it together and because of the colours and the tonality in the sky, we can put a sky from Luminar in this. I noticed a couple of anomalies when I was adding the sky towards the end of this. And because we've stamped this together and because of the colours in the sky, I can replace the sky quite easily. So the first thing I did was I noticed there was an anomaly here because of the contrast in the colours in that sky, and here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Alt and click with the left mouse button. I'm going to take the size of this down slightly, and I'm going to paint out some of these clouds. And now I can be quite liberal with this, just in there, and then I'm going to go over here and do the same here, just to get rid of these. Right, up here I'm just going to draw a line across that, and in there. And you see, I'm replacing the sky in this, so I don't have to be too careful with this. And I'll grab that there, and in there. Take that out, take that out there. Right, I'll go done with that. And if you get an anomaly when you're doing this, if you're following this one along, it is happening here in this cone and stamp layer with the sky in the original layer. So once you've got the cone and stamp layer there, you can get rid of the stamped layer and delete. So now I go back up to cone and stamp, and now I can go in and start creating the image. So if I go in here to creative and I go sky replacement, sky selection, and for me it was sunset 1. Yep. And you can see I've got rid of the anomalies there and there. In my original one there was some contrast in here and happening in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the horizon blending down. I'm going to take the horizon position down, just so that the sun is peaking here at this building. I am then going to open up the sky global even further to about there, sky local. So you can see we've got a slight anomaly here, and that's because I didn't take my time when creating this video to remove that. Now I could go back and do it, but for the sake of this video I'll leave it at that just now. The next thing is I will bring in a new layer, because I'm not going to tone this. I'm going to put the image together first before I tone it, but when we're getting to this, what I'll do is I'll show you how it all works. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my layers, and in the cone and stamp layer I'm going to take layer transform, and I don't know if you noticed in the original image there is a slight twist to the image. That's slightly off kilter, so we will take that down to around there, take that up to there. So I'll leave that like that. I'll say quite happy with that at the moment, but remember when you do it to go in and check this area here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new image layer, and I'm going to add this chap here jumping into the water. And I've missed a bit down there, I think you'll notice as well. Layer transform. When I bring this in, as you can see, because he's been made to fit the 16:9 aspect ratio, his proportions are slightly out. So I'm going to get him to roughly where his proportions should be, which is around there. I'm going to lock it, I'm going to twist him slightly, and then I'm going to scale him up. Now if I'd put an opacity in this I would see exactly where he is, but I'm more interested in showing you the techniques for this. When I originally completed the image I did turn the opacity down to make sure that none of his fingers were poking into buildings or whatever, and you'll notice there is in the final image that you'll see there is a slight gap in between. But we also have to give him the effect of presence when he's there and not just somebody floating in the sky. So I'll check this by turning down the opacity, and I'm actually going to make him slightly bigger for this because I would like his legs to come down a bit more. So I'm going to go layer transform, and I'm going to scale him up again, remembering that I've locked the aspect ratio. So I'm going to bring him to about there when I do this, and I'm going to tilt him slightly, as I said, so that nothing connects with this building. I am Down here it doesn't matter if it connects because that gives a sense of distance and depth to the image. So I'm going to click done. Because it's annoying me, I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the aspect of this to pull this in. I'm going to go layer transform. Because if I don't do it just now, there is a chance I will forget at the end. And then turn this layer back on. And then I'm going to turn the opacity right back up. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to edit a couple of areas of him and then I'll show you the final image, because he did take a wee while to go round, but not too long, because it teaches you the techniques as you're doing it, and I'll explain why I did certain things as I'm doing this. So I'm going to edit the mask and I'm going to use the brush, and I'm actually going to use the paint so that everything disappears and only he appears, and I'm just going to do that. And softness is at 100%, so I'm going to go in here, paint up to there, in here, paint to there, go down. I don't want too much because I don't want too much work when I'm doing this, and I'm going to paint down there as well, just down to that foot. And this next part is when I'll show you how the brush techniques I showed you earlier come into play. You'll notice with this image though, there is a black line, there is a black contrast line going round the chap himself. You can take that away or you can actually leave that in. So I'm going to zoom in now. I'm commanding plus, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off edit mask just to let you see what we have. So you'll notice that black contrast line that we have here. I'm going to go in and show you the brushes working around the fingers, just so that you can see the techniques. And then I'm also going to go in and show you how it works in the hair and explain why I did certain things. So I'll go to the fingers first. I'm going to go edit mask. This time I'm going to choose erase. This time I'm going to turn the softness down to around 28. Right, I'm just going to check it by drawing a line there. Yep, you can see that with that there's a slight soft edge there. I'm going to take the size of this down, and then I am just going to take my time. Now I'm doing this with a mouse. I usually do this with a Wacom tablet, but I'm doing it with a mouse for the sake of this video. Now do you see there's quite a hard line there? Perhaps you wouldn't want that, and that's when you decide. You can only find out by doing it, because there isn't a one stop does all with this. So I'm going to take the softness back up and I'm going to test it along this edge. And I'm drawing this by hand, and to be honest that's why I use a Wacom tablet. Drawing with a mouse, the ergonomics are not really the best suited to do this. So I can go in there and up here. And the reason, to be honest, the reason I'm doing it with a mouse instead of the tablet for the demonstration, this purpose of this video, is not everybody has a tablet. So you have to be able to show that you can do it, in my head anyway, that you can do it as well with or without the tablet. The tablets make a massive difference if you're doing composite and work, and I would say it's actually one thing that you need in your kit. So if I do that as well, so you can see roughly how that's going to work out. I won't do everything in here just for the purposes of this video, and as you'll notice as well, I've chosen to leave most of the black contrast line around the chap here in the hands. In the final image I left it in some areas and took it out in others, and that was just a judgment call. There was no other intention with that. Right, if I wanted a softer edge in here, I'm going to take out the smaller bits first. I normally work in the smaller areas first so that I can then go in, give myself enough space. I can then go in, take the softness right down to 0 and take the brush up in size, knowing that I can take these out really quickly without affecting the work that I've just done. So that is how I work when it comes to that. And you can see there, if you want to check your mask, press the / in the keyboard, and you can see if there's any remaining areas when your mask is there. And that's a good thing to do once you've finished the entire process, is go back in and press the / keyboard on the keyboard, or press the mask button up here. Right, I'm going to turn that back off. So that's how I would go in and do that. For the hair, the softness I would turn up to quite a reasonable size and take it, the brush size down. The minimum brush size for this is 10. What I would do is I'm going to take out certain areas just to see how it is first, instead of diving right in and going right in beside the hair. Each time I'm doing this though, each time I'm creating a composite, I'm thinking ahead and I'm thinking the next step. And for me, I know that I'm putting the sun in, down, behind where the sun is showing behind that building. So I know that some of that area is white just now, and what it will happen is when I do that, it will be hidden by the sun and the glare of the sun. So you can get away with some anomalies within this, and you'll notice I'm following the flow of the hair each time. I'm not trying to draw out what I think's hair and where the hair should be. It's a case of draw or paint what you see, not what you think you should see. So in here as well, in there, in there, and in there. And then I'm going to take the brush size up because it's quite a soft brush, and I'm going to paint out that. I don't mind the softness around the hair. The hair is okay to have that softness around. And as I said, I'm thinking ahead each time. What I'm also thinking is, what am I going to be applying to this image? Because depending on what LUT I use, or look, depending on what one I use, if there is any anomalies here in this area, I can go back in, once I'm happy with the image, I can go back in with the clone and stamp and fill in the sky colour in here, clone and stamp, with the opacity turned down to about 50%. I can go in and do that, knowing that I'll get rid of any areas that I don't want. So you can see that's quite a soft edge there, and I can go in and just do that. So hopefully what I'm showing you here, although I'm not going to go in and do it all just now, you can see the time it takes to create these as well, and you'll know, for the guys that have already tried this, you'll know yourself how long it takes to do them. I'm going to move the image and I'm going to show you. I also mentioned that you can use the shift key, and the shift, holding down shift while clicking one point and moving to another, draws a straight line. So if you're drawing round anything, like the balloon in the first image I showed you, or round the arm here, I'll do some of the arm for you just so that you can see it. The shorter the movements, or the shorter the clicks in between, the more you can create a curve. So that's something that's worth trying as well, if you're able to do that with your computer. Right, so if I go in there and I now hold down shift and click there, and you'll also notice that I am edging onto the image ever so slightly. So I've clicked again, holding down shift, click, holding down shift, and then I'll just go back and adjust it slightly. Right, for me, when I've done that, the edge is too soft, so I'm going to pull that back a bit, and then I'm going to click there. That's the reason that happened, is because it was still clicked here the last time. So I'm going to click there, then do that. That's a better edge. So that's a softness of 44% in that. Right, and I'm bleeding on to the image slightly. You'll notice the brush is on the image ever so slightly, or the image of the chap. And then right through this. So I would cut that out. I'd go right round the entire figure like this. And then once done, and once I'm happy with it, Turn the softness right down to 0, take the brush up and then erase like so. And that's what I would do for the entire image. I'd click all the way around, so I don't want to waste your time with the video showing you that. You see how the difference in there with the sharp edge to the softer edge? It's more natural having that blend there. It doesn't look as if it's been cut out with scissors. So I'll zoom this back out, Command and 0. So hopefully that lets you see with this how I go about the process. And as I said, I'm going to add the sun down in this area here. I'll click Done. I'll click Edit Mask. And what I'm going to do is I am going to stamp the layer. If you imagine he's finished for this one, I'll go create new stamped layer. As I said, this is his back in here. I'm just going to show you how the sun was added and the reason I created a stamped layer to do it. I would then, once this was finished, I would then go back in, delete that layer, and then delete the clone stamp layer, so that I'm only left with 2 layers here. And then I would go in and I would go in sun rays, place sun center, drag the sun down just to around the same spot that it is in the sky, and turn the amount up. Go in here and take the sun warmth up, and I'm also going to take the rays, and that adds the kind of yellow tone to the image. I can also go in and randomize this as well. Just depends what you want from your image. And if you move it down behind, it will be affected by some of the buildings that are there, the darker pixels. So it's totally and utterly up to you how you want to do it. I could make the image darker by taking down the overall look, sun rays length, and that's just for you to play around with. So that's how I get to the end of these. After this, what I did was I went in and added a new adjustment layer, and I added some looks to it. As I say, Camden's one of my favourite looks for this, so I'm just going to add the Camden to it just to let you see. So I did that as well, and then I went back in, added a new adjustment layer, I went in and just tweaked the image using these. Hopefully that gave you a small insight into how I go about my composite work, and again I hope it is useful for you when you try any of yours. Most of my work, as I say, the link down below takes you to my Instagram page. I've also got another Instagram page which is named 85 Dark, and it looks like this, and that's where all my composite work will be, just so that I keep my landscapes and my composite work separate on Instagram. So please feel free to go and check it out and see what's there. If you're at the photography show in Birmingham between the 14th and the 17th of March next month, please feel free to pop along to the Skylum booth, where they'll be talking about the software and there'll be demonstrations, and I'll be demonstrating the software between the Sunday and the Tuesday over the 3 days at different times, so feel free to pop in and say hello. Hopefully you enjoyed that video, and if you'd like to see more, please check them out in the channel below, and if you're currently not a subscriber, please consider subscribing, because that would be absolutely fantastic. Thanks again for watching.